Smallishbeans could actually be the villain for Empires SMP Season 2. What? You don't believe me? Well, let me change your mind. With the release of the Demon Zarnoth on Empires SMP Season 1 around September last year, he ultimately brought about wide-scale destruction and corruption on the server until he was eventually sealed away by Scott and his gang. We have been keeping our eyes peeled for whenever the villain of Empire Season 2 plans to reveal themselves to the rest of the server. There are actually a few potential villains for the server lurking in the backstories of some of our favorite players. For example, Mythical Sausage's former kingdom was once ruled by an evil tyrant who is currently hunting Sausage down after escaping on the night of the Great Purge. Pirate Joe has been at odds with the captain of Skeleton Pirates, Skeletron, since the beginning of the series, and Scott of Chromia had a mysterious wizard take a skull treasure in exchange for his new yellow eye, who has never been seen since. While all these villains are cool, what if they are actually a red herring to the true villain for Empire Season 2? What if instead of a background character, the villain turns out to be a player? Of the players on the server, we think that Smallishbeans has the potential to become the villain for this season on Empires. As we all know by now, after Joel took a dip into the Fountain of Strength for Empire Season 2, he became the 11-foot-tall god of the sky. At least according to Mythical Sausage, Joel has the ability to summon lightning from the heavens, immediately making him one of the most powerful players on the Empire server. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that Joel is by no means humble about the amount of power he currently possesses. Joel constantly reminds his fans about how tall and strong he is.
I'm tall, I'm sexy.
And his oversized ego can be seen in the fact that Joel built his massive sky empire overlooking a small village on the ground. With all his power going to his head, there might not be many who could stand up to Joel's might if he ever decided to start a war on the server. According to the lore that Joel recently added to Stratos, there were other gods that came before him, but they have all since passed away, meaning there are no other gods of equal strength to keep Joel in his place.
I was not the only god. There were other gods. However, they are all dead.
We also know from the X-Life series just how power-hungry Joel can be. Joel used to have a running gag on the X-Life server where he would name all his pets on the server Jeremy. His religion venerated the great donkey Jeremy, first animal Smallishbeans granted the holy name Jeremy to on the server. After receiving a vision from the heavens from the original Jeremy, Joel founded Jeremyism and wrote the Book of Jeremy, the holy book for a new cult, religion, on the X-Life server. Joel was a mischievous cult leader during this time on the X-Life server, such as when he tried to force Lizzie to join Jeremyism without her knowledge, or when he tried bribing people to join with building commissions and diamonds. Joel spent much of his series trying to induct new members, and he successfully brought Solidarity, Jack Sucks at Life, CPK, the Orion Sound, Whip, Dang That's a Long Name, and LD Shadow Lady into the cult. However, Joel showed his true colors at the end of the series when he revealed that he wasn't actually a follower of Jeremyism. Instead, after consulting with a llama named Terry, Joel tells us that he created Jeremyism as a means of bringing chaos to the server and making its followers lose as many of their lives as possible. Just as Joel planned, Scott, the new leader of Jeremyism, became a corrupt ruler and killed several of the players on the server. Having achieved his chaotic goals, Smallishbeans retired to the plains to live out his 10th life in peace with Llama Terry. What we can learn from his time on the X-Life server is that Joel can mastermind a plan to bring chaos to a server, making him a prime candidate for a villain for this season of Empires. But what really makes me think that Joel could end up being the main villain this season is because of how many enemies Joel has made since the beginning of the series. Joel made enemies with Pixel Riffs after mining calcite on the mountain between the two of their empires. Pixel Riffs pranked Joel back by encasing a massive section of Stratos in a display case, and Joel got him back by covering their entire mountain in glass. Joel has also been antagonizing Sheriff Jimmy since the beginning of the season by calling him a toy, which ultimately led to a lawsuit between the two empires. Worst of all, Smallishbeans decided to retaliate when Pirate Joe stole his stratosphere as a gift to win the heart of Princess Catherine by blowing up his pirate ship and kidnapping Sir Piggles. Joey got his revenge on Joel by rigging the stratosphere gold to explode after he had pretended like he was returning it to Joel. Overall, Joel has made tons of enemies this season, and it looks like he could just be on the brink of starting a war with Joey or Jimmy at any point in the future. If Joel does turn out to be the villain for Empire Season 2, we imagine the result would be interesting to say the least. While Joel loved playing on the Empire server Season 1, he wasn't all that into the role-playing, storytelling, and lore aspects of the server. There were a few times which he did participate in the lore, such as when he proposed to Ocean Queen Lizzie and they had the Great Royal Wedding, but much of his time was spent in his empire building his palace and causing normal mischief on the server. However, in his most recent season of Empires, Joel not only declared himself god of the sky, but he's also the god of lore. Joel had a running gag this season that because lore is created by the players, anything that he says or does officially becomes canon to the Empire's world. This was Joel's exact line of thinking when he built the Temple of Peril, claiming that because he said that all the gods other than him were dead on the server, this was canon to the Empire's world. All of this is to say that, at least to some extent, the god of lore has the ability to alter reality. Zonoff might have had the power of creative mode during Season 1, but Joel's ability to rewrite the lore on the server is much scarier. For example, many people believe that Jimmy wasn't originally a toy until Smallishbeans created the joke and turned Jimmy into one. If Joel really does have the capability of altering the very lore on the server, this means he has control over other characters' stories, past, present, and future. And this is far beyond simply being physically strong and having the power to control lightning. If Joel became a villain on the server, reality could be whatever he wants. He could change Sausage's backstory so that he never escaped on the night of the Great Purge. He could make it so that the Great Witch Shelby was never appointed the residential witch of the Evermore. He could even alter the timeline entirely, making it so that Season 2 never happened in the first place. So the question remains, how do you defeat a god who could quite possibly have the power to alter reality itself? Well, if the entire server really wanted a fighting chance against the lore-altering Joel, they would definitely have to band together in order to face him together. We know that special artifacts are often the best way to defeat a powerful enemy. For example, Scott of Rivendell wasn't fully able to defeat Zonoff back in Season 1 until he found the rune blade hidden away in an elvish library. The sword, which was constructed by a race of magical dwarves, granted its wielder to send their victims to any afterlife the user could imagine. Scott ultimately plunged the rune blade into his own chest, and since he and Zonoff were connected, the two were pulled into an alternate reality where Zonoff was never truly corrupted. All of this is to say that if the players on the Empire server wanted to defeat Joel, they would need to get their hands on a magical item that could either slay or seal away a god. Perhaps the dwarves who forged the rune sword could have another magic weapon that our emperors could find to defeat the almighty Joel. That's all for now. Bye!